This is big breaking emergency news. The mayor of Aurora, Colorado just issued an emergency warning on live television. If you live in Aurora, you need to be making plans to get out of this region. He is warning that things are even worse than what it seems. He's admitting what's going on, that these gangs and these organizations are taking over parts of Aurora and taking over several buildings. And he is also warning that things are even worse than what they seem. Okay. And his response seems like he is helpless, right? Like there's nothing he can do. Like he knows what's going on, but he is not giving the response that citizens need. So I want you guys to listen to what he was saying on live TV. He gave this interview this morning because people in Aurora are freaking out, right? Parts of the town are being completely taken over and are turning into no-go zones. And we're getting reports right now too that a elderly woman was just kicked out of her complex by one of these gangs. All right, somebody's come forward and they contacted the city. They were contacting Danielle Jurinsky, one of the city councilwoman members for Aurora, and she came out to help her move out of her apartment. She just had to leave. She had to get out of there and leave, forced to leave her apartment. All right, we'll get into more details of that in just a second. But I want you guys to listen to what this mayor said on live TV first, because this is insane that he's admitting this. And this honestly opens him up to major liability at this point. And if you're in Aurora, let us know down below what you guys are seeing. All right, this is a developing situation, and we might reach a point where the National Guard might have to be deployed. But listen to this. This is Mayor Coffman, Mayor Mike Coffman of Aurora, Colorado. This is what he said on the situation, and he is warning that this is like a war zone. He is relating it to his time serving in war, and he is saying that the enemy is within. He's saying there's enemy forces inside the United States and inside his city, and there's nothing he can do. And he's relating this to a war. All right, listen to this. This is why, if you're in this area, you need to be on high alert and try to leave if you can. I know that's easier said than done, but listen to what Mayor Mike Coffman is saying.
We have other isolated problems that we're trying to deal with. And as certainly the mayor, I don't believe you surrender any part of this city to a criminal element, whether it's sections of Aurora to, prostitution and drug dealing, or it's these criminal elements from this Venezuelan criminal elements that are preying upon their own people, but in doing so have taken over several apartment complexes. So if we have to, and I hope we don't, I hope we can move these people out without pushing everybody out of the entire apartment building. But I'll tell you, as somebody who was in counterinsurgency warfare in Iraq with the Marine Corps, you have an enemy population you have an enemy that is inside a population that is intimidated by them. And so the challenge is getting people to cooperate to identify them, or using film footage to identify them, get them out. What I look forward to is updates from our police department and from our other law enforcement partners that are working on this to say what progress that we're making in these isolated areas, in these pockets, in terms of dealing with what I consider is an enemy force.
Well, if Fed policies, as you say.
Hey, did you hear that? That's the mayor of Aurora. He's saying that this is a enemy force inside of his own city. And he's essentially admitting that his forces are overwhelmed, and he's saying he doesn't want to cede parts of the city. But that's essentially what's happening, all right? He's saying multiple buildings have been taken over by these gangs, and this is the TDA gang, and they're allegedly coming from Venezuela right now, all right? That's what's being reported. And they are taking over multiple buildings in Aurora, Colorado right now. Apartments, Targets, and shopping centers are being shut down, and this entire area is becoming very unsafe, right? And I've been to Colorado many times, and I've been to Aurora many times too. And it's a beautiful state and a beautiful part of the country, but it is facing these challenges and they won't step up and shut it down. All right. And he is saying that they don't want to get to a point where they have to go in there and kick everyone out and use force. And then he's relating it to his military service. But that's what needs to happen, it seems like. It seems like the National Guard needs to be deployed in Colorado right now to deal with this situation, because his local law enforcement is not cutting it. They are not providing the safety that people need, right? And this is what's also happening in Aurora as well, okay? People are being kicked out of their own apartment complexes, okay? People are being told to get out of here, and they're being forced to leave because they're being harassed so much, right? And they're in danger. Even older ladies are being kicked out of their apartment complex, all right? This is what's being reported here. This is from John E. Fab. He is a congressional district candidate in Colorado, I believe for District 6 he's running for in Colorado. And this is what he just said. He said, today, Danielle Jurinsky, the councilwoman from Aurora, contacted me to help move an older lady out of an apartment complex that this Venezuelan gang members were harassing her, all right? He said, we went in and got it done. And he said, no more standing by. He said, gangs harassed this lady and threatened her. And Councilwoman Danielle Jurinsky listened, heard, and responded with a small crew to move her out. Aurora police also did show up to provide cover for us while we were moving, and we were thankful for their presence. He also said it's time to take our city back. All right, so the police did show up to help get this lady out, but they're not going in there and clearing anything out. All right, there's multiple things going on here. Trespassing. Somebody owns these buildings. Somebody lived here. Somebody had contracts to live here, rental contracts. Some people might have even bought these apartments, and they've been forced to leave. All right, forced to leave by this criminal gang. So this is what's going on inside of Aurora, Colorado. I want you to listen to a little bit more of what this mayor's saying. He's giving some more intel on the situation and what they're going to be doing. But he's essentially admitting that he knows what's going on, and he's saying there's nothing he can do. All right, listen to this a little bit more, what he was saying in this interview from just this morning.
We're to blame for a lot of this. Do you try to make the White House pay for what you guys are trying to do right now to deal with this?
Well, I think I want to get the answers first. I believe that, well, first of all, the problem is at the border. I mean, if you can walk across, people can walk. We have, Venezuela, unfortunately, is a failed state under a socialist dictator, and people are leaving. I think about a third of the population has left, and so I think a lot of them are great people. But unlike immigration that we've had in the past, in our Venezuelan community that has been here, where they had sponsors, where they had family members, where they came, they had resources, they were educated. I mean, here we're getting people that just poured over the border, where they typically you walk across illegally, you get arrested, you declare political asylum, you're given humanitarian parole until your case can be adjudicated, which could take months, years, before those cases are adjudicated. In the meantime, again, you have a situation, and this is separate from the criminality, but I want to say that it creates it's a broader problem than the gangs, that you have people that are here without resources that can't apply for a work permit until they're here for 6 months. I mean, desperate people do desperate things. So my concern is certainly beyond this immediate gang issue, but that is the most serious issue before us right now, and we are confronting it head on, and we will, we're going to get it done.
Yeah, I know this is a problem that's coming to a head right now, and you say that there are steps to make it better. Is it going to get worse before it gets better?
No, I don't think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, the fact is that we have dedicated a lot of resources towards this, as has we are working with the federal government as well from a law enforcement standpoint, as well as with some of our state partners, focus on these isolated areas, to identify the criminal element, get them off the street. And so, that's the objective right now, and we're going to accomplish that.
Mayor Mike Coffman, Mayor of Aurora.
Right, so that was his warning that he just issued on live television, right? Mayor Mike Coffman. And he's saying they're going to get it done, but we will see if that happens, right? There needs to be big action because this has actually been going on for months, and it's reaching a tipping point where more and more buildings are being taken over, right? Piles of trash are just piling up outside of the buildings, right? It's becoming highly noticeable. People walking around open carrying firearms all over the place. And it's very noticeable what's going on here. And people are saying that the people living there that are taking over these buildings, they don't have any fear. All right, that's what the residents are saying. They're saying, one person was calling them ghost people. All right, they're saying they're like ghosts because nobody knows who they are, nobody knows what they're doing, and nobody stops them from doing what they're doing either. They're just walking around and kind of like operating outside of society while everyone else has to follow the rules. They are just not following the rules. They're being allowed to take over. So what's going on here? All right, what he's saying versus what's actually happening, there's kind of a disconnect here. And he's even comparing this to when he was in Iraq, right? So what's going on here? He knows how serious this is. He needs to request the National Guard from the governor, all right? That's what needs to happen ASAP in Aurora. And here's an update from the Aurora Police Department too. It says here, the city and Aurora Police Department established a special task force in collaboration with other local, state, and federal partners for specifically addressing concerns about the Venezuelan gang TDA and other criminal activity affecting migrant communities. We are grateful that the DEA, a valuable federal partner, has acknowledged its ongoing work into TDA across the metro and appreciate the additional resources it provides to combat the issue. It says, we are aware that components of TDA are operating in Aurora. Aurora Police Department has been increasingly collecting evidence to show the gang is connected to crimes in the area. However, as we have said previously, and as the DEA similarly stated, it would be improper at this time for the city and police department to make any statements about specific incidents or provide details about law enforcement strategy and operations. All right, so they're saying they're looking into this, they're investigating it with their federal partners, but there's no real action, right? They're just investigating it and looking into it and seeing what they can do. But while they're doing all this and kind of stalling, this gang is getting its tentacles and its network deep into our country. Okay, this isn't a border state. Okay, this is a state that's in the middle of the country, Colorado, and they have their tentacles deep into the United States and are taking over. And it's also creating these launch pads for them to spread into other areas, all right, and set up these bases for organizations, right, and doing organized crime like this. So this is a major warning, all right, that the mayor came out and said this, saying that we have enemy forces, quote, enemy forces inside the U.S., and they've overwhelmed the police department. So thank you guys. Please just hit it up for me down there. Hitting that like and subscribe and all that stuff, it just helps to get these warnings out so people know this is chaos in our own country, right? And it could be your city next, right? This stuff's spreading across the country. These organizations are getting rooted all throughout the country. People are saying this has really popped off the last 6 or 7 months, okay? So make sure you guys are prepared and ready. Make sure you are able to protect yourself and defend yourself and your family legally and lawfully. I hope you have big blessings for your life, your family, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.